Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another speed build for the Disney save. Today we're going to be working on one of the final Lion King lots for the save file. For now, you can see right next door on the left of this lot, I had made Rafiki's treehouse recently, and at the end of that video I included the Curating, so if you missed that one, check it out because it's kind of like a double bonus video. But right next door we have this tiny lot. I think this is a 20 by 15 and it's the final one for this Pride Lands Lion King neighborhood that I have been slowly filling out. This is the neighborhood at the top left hand corner of the Oasis Springs map, and there is going to be one more Lion King build after this. It's in the commercial district, that one down by the strip that is the last 3 builds for Oasis Springs. So today's video is not exactly the last one, but we're definitely winding down to the last few. This is a traditional children's playground, which I haven't gotten to make yet, really. I should say I have made one in Willow Creek. It was just very small, and it was for Ralphie from Princess and the Frog, that is Naveen's little brother. I made like a very generic fairy tale playhouse playground, and I think I even marked that lot as a generic. It didn't actually work out to be a full park lot type. This is a little bit bigger, more detailed, and it is a traditional like modern children's park, but it is Lion King themed and it's safari themed, and it's also very specifically referencing the I just can't wait to be king scene of Nala and Simba running around, singing, playing in the water, trying to get away from Zazu. Because Nala and Simba spend a good portion of the film young, and when I was also thinking about The Lion King 2 and how that movie similarly has a good portion of it where Kovu and Kiara are younger, there are depictions of younger characters and lessons with children and like storytelling with children, and I felt like if I was going to have to fill out like a little Lion King neighborhood where I have to come up with a couple of extra ideas that really wouldn't have made it in if I was tight for space in this world, but if anything, Oasis Springs was one of those ones that sort of challenged my ideas, and I had to think of how I could really fully utilize this world to its potential. Doing a traditional children's park is something that makes a lot of sense. I need more of in the save file, more places that are dedicated to children's sims specifically and some activities for them to do. And then Simba and Nala are some characters that could easily be referenced in Disney media as children and often are depicted as so. So they get their own little playground park. It's safari themed. It does have modern elements to it in terms of like a full playground. There's swings, there's a slide. And then what I ended up doing, this was not originally planned, is using the splash pad items from Growing Together. I've not used these anywhere in the save file. The Lion King has been a really big movie for firsts for the save. We did the first spa. This is the first traditional playground. The first real treehouse went to Rafiki. The first gender swap of the save file went to Rafiki as well. I originally did this build and wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to approach it. I was going through the catalog and pulling out all of the stuff that I felt like I could fit here. And something that's really annoying as the catalog continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger is that a lot of the stuff in here just isn't properly tagged. So you kind of have to know that it exists, or you have to remember. And something I am constantly doing on the side of the Disney save is just making lists of stuff like, remember that this pack has this item and you can go back and add it to this build for more detail and more things that are on theme and more references. So I'm doing that all the time, but ideally I wouldn't be. Ideally I would just remember everything that can go in a particular theming, and I did a really good job this time around pulling out everything that we have that is even a little bit safari leaning in terms of statues, decals, animal print, animal anything, especially animals that were referenced in the I just can't wait to be king scene, particularly when all of the animals are stacking on top of one another and Simba's going to the top to like kind of finish out the number. I wanted any of the animals that were in that stacked pile to be referenced in this build somewhere, as many as I could do with what we have in the game. So giraffes, there's hippos, there's flamingos in that scene, and I think there are many, many more, but we didn't always have something that was gonna work perfectly for that. Upon going through everything and picking out pieces, I realized that I could really use the splash pad items here and make something really fun, some cool different activity for children's sims to do, but it also really makes sense for the scene that this particular lot is based on. There are some light water references in the entire movie, of course, but also just that particular scene, kind of running through water, playing through water. I think when I think of this scene, I do think of the old school, yes, I think it was a Super Nintendo game that I had. I also had this game for Sega Genesis, and I used to play the love out of it, but I could never get very far. I think it was just called Lion King, and this game is kind of infamous now for being extremely hard. And I thought when I was a kid that I was just really bad at video games, and I probably was, because I was fairly young when I used to have this game and it came out, but I remember not being able to really get past the first few levels of the game, and it's based on this scene. So I think a lot about like all the different trees and platforming that you had to do in that, and what trees they used, and the different water structures and the different animals you had to jump on. And that game really comes to mind when I do think about this scene, and I'm sure it will for many of you as well. This was also a build where I felt like I could get away with using some more of the animal print wallpapers and floors that I really haven't utilized in the other builds because it just wasn't super appropriate. I did want to use animal print in my Lion King builds, and I think that that obviously makes sense, but there are certain ones that don't make sense, and there are also ones that if I used them too much, it was going to start to look not really aesthetically correct to the Lion King. Like if I'm rebuilding Pride Rock, there's no place to necessarily utilize the giraffe floor anywhere in that, but I can utilize it here because it's more decor, and I'm not super worried about this place looking really modern. I think that that was actually sort of the intention. This is something you could stumble across in real life. It would be a really cool park that I'm sure many people would love taking their children to. I would be excited about it, especially with the full splash pad area and all the animals that I'm going to be putting over into the splash pad, and some little toddler pools and things to lay around in, cool off. I also really wanted to build a jungle gym because we don't have a ton of them. There are a couple of jungle gyms in the catalog, but they are sort of repetitive. Like if I'm going to use them, they're going to be really specific, and they're probably only going to go in 1 or 2 locations. And the other thing is when the Sims team makes worlds, they tend to place those down as like placeholder jungle gyms. So one that I did use was over on Insulani on the Lost Boys Lookout lot. I added the pirate ship playground to that because it just makes sense with the theming. I don't want to overuse those items because they are sort of repetitive in like the landscaping of the world, and when you're in Willow Creek in particular, if you look around in the background, you'll see them around. So they don't feel very special to me, and I felt like I could recreate something, especially if I make it kind of multi-leveled and then put some different functional items around it. So I decided to make this 2-tiered structure with some stairs. It's very traditional looking in terms of being just like a jungle gym, and then I tried to mesh different things into it that made sense for little activities that can be done. There's a couple of animal paintings and murals on the wall. I did the tree dollhouse. There are 2 of those, one down below and one up top, just in case your younger Sims, if you bring like a toddler here and they're not particularly great with the stairs just yet, there are other things that they can get down to and use. There's also a toy box hidden in here, a set of swings, and then I made like this little comfy seating area with some appropriately colored items, comfy little cushions and things for your tired Sims, for your tired little children Sims. And also, I don't know, if you just want to play a little runaway challenge and come live here, you kind of could. I don't often watch Sims videos, if I'm completely honest. I used to watch a lot of speed building, and that's obviously why I started my channel, because I was like, well, I can do that. But one of the things that I do watch is Rags to Riches, and I always love watching people try to camp it out at little playgrounds and parks in their save files. I think it's so clever. This is bougie in that regard, and there would be so much help that you could do here. Like there's a full grill here, there is a bathroom stall, there's lots of benches to sleep on, there's little chairs and things. You could hide away from the weather underneath this jungle gym structure. One thing I was really excited about, and again, if I didn't like absolutely rip through all of the build and buy catalog to really look and see what we had, I was never going to find this item, and I got so excited when I did. I think this is from the toddler stuff pack or the kid stuff pack. Those tree stumps that look like animals, and they're not tagged well in the catalog at all. So if you search lion, you're not going to get it. Panda, any of the different swatches for the animals that are actually like painted that way, they're not going to come up. But if you just look at the children's stuff and the toddler stuff, one way or another, I managed to find them. And there is those tree stumps that have different paint swatches on them, and a couple of them look like a male and and a female lion. So perfect for my references to Simba and Nala. Had to have them around at the entrance of the jungle gym area, at the entrance of the playground, and then at the entrance of this little splash pad area. I definitely heavily used them in the decor, but again, this is kind of like their little place. I could picture them coming and playing here, and if you wanted to age down Simba and Nala and like really play the story from the beginning, this is your place and your time to come here and kind of do out that scene if you want to. I'm so excited to playtest this because I've never been able to use the splash pads and I don't really know how interactive they are. I'm hoping that they're a lot of fun, something a little bit different to include. Even if I get to do another playground at some point down the line in the Disney Save, the more traditional sort of ones like this where you have like the gym equipment, I don't know that I'll be able to use a splash pad. Like I haven't really thought about when I was going to be able to do this, so I'm happy that it came up because it fits so well in this theming, and I don't know when it's going to come up again. It might come up again, but I don't know when. In the video, I definitely forgot a bathroom, and that was kind of because I wasn't sure that this was going to be marked as an actual park lot type. If you want to be a little bit lazy and maybe not fully utilize all of the required items for a given community lot, you can just mark it as a generic. I don't really mind doing stuff like that. So I went into this with the intention that if I couldn't fit everything that I wanted, I would just use generic so that it could still function and be a community space. But I ended up squeezing everything in here, and I did a bathroom. It's just not included in the video, and it is just one of those like outdoor bathroom debug huts, but they do function and they place as bathrooms when you are doing community lots, if you didn't know that. I know that was a little bit of a quicker one today, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought, and let me know what your favorite Lion King build has been so far now that this Pride Lands themed neighborhood is complete. Again, there will actually be one more Lion King build, and it's the next one up. It's going to be quite a bit different than some of the other stuff that I've been doing. It's not going to look so aesthetically the same as Lion King, but it does have the theming there, and it is actually going to be a restaurant. So stay tuned for that very soon, and more announcements in terms of world voting and the new world, because I will be announcing what won very, very soon in the next couple of videos. I do know what the next world is going to be, and I think a lot of you are going to be excited, hopefully, because I definitely am. It's not just as simple as a random world choice. I did something different this time around. If you would like to support the Disney Save on Patreon, you can do so by clicking the link in my description box down below or the one at the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and I will talk to you all in the next one.